Hello everyone, welcome back to Path for Cloud. So we are discussing the scheduling, right? Like how we can schedule the pods more in a controlled way, right? So far what we have seen is we have seen the label and selectors and the taint and toleration, and there is one more way where we can bypass a scheduler, right? With the help of node name, which we have just seen in the last video, right? But now with the taint and toleration, there was a problem, right? Like we cannot guarantee that a particular pod will land to that a tainted node, right? It can go to another node as well. If scheduler find there is a uh, required resources are available, then it can be scheduled there as well, right? But if it is coming to the tainted node, then anyhow it has to tolerate that taint and then only it can be allowed, right? But now we'll make sure that a particular pod will be landing on that node only, right? And if one more control level you need, right, you can put more taint and toleration, right? That's what we do in production, right? That is the like kind of recommended way and the strong way in doing in a production as well, right? So let's come to node selector first. So node selector is nothing. Node selector is working like a label and selectors, right? Like for the pod or any of the resources we are putting labels, right? And then when we are linking another object or resource, we are using a selector and we are getting filtered those label, and based on that a particular thing will get uh, linked to that resource, right? Similarly, we have something called node selector, right? So node selector is nothing. Node selector is just you need to label your node, right? Because here what we are doing is we are labeling our resources. Like let's say in the case of pod, we are putting some kind of another metadata, and under metadata section we are putting labels, and then we are putting some key value, right? Whatever the you want you can put. And when you creating another resource, let's say resource service, right, we have seen already, in that we are putting a selector which will gonna match the label called whatever you put. Similarly, in the node selector, first you need to label your node. Once you labeled your node, and when you are defining your pod definition file, you need to put that key. So what Kubernetes will do, Kubernetes will go and check for that node. If they don't find that particular node with that particular label, then your pod will not get scheduled, right? Maybe it will be in a pending state or in error state, right? But probably in pending state. Let's see. First, we will create the pod without any label, and then we'll see what is happening. All right. So let's come to our master node. And okay, oh boy, I lost that CK again. Anyways, yeah, because I just spin up this machine multiple times. But anyways, now we have the CK repository here, and we have something called labs. Let's clear it. So far what we have seen is, let me just quickly give you a recap for that node name, where we are just bypassing our something called scheduler. Okay, so I'm just putting go and schedule on this. If I am gonna create it, create -f02, so it has created. If you see, so here we have in it's running on master node, right? And if you probably uh, describe this, right? uh, okay, we need to obviously we need to give the pod name. I was trying some trick, but due to some typo, it was not working. Anyways, so here you can see in the events, right? What is happening is we don't have any event from the scheduler, and that's what we have seen, right? Because we can see that it is running on the our what you call master node, right? And if I just describe the master node, describe not K8 master, and look for a word called taint, Taint, and here also we have some typo. So you can see it has no schedule policy, but still Kubernetes master was able to schedule one of the pod web one. We have seen that why it is that, right? But let me show you that one more thing. I think I have file there called 15 number file. So here you can see what I'm saying is schedule this pod called web-test wherever you find this environment equal to test, right? Let me show you the label first. Get nodes test as SCLEC selectors environment equal to test. Let's see if we have any. Okay, it is selector only. So it is saying no resource found. As of now, there is no node which is labeled with environment equal to test, right? You can see more detail. You can say get nodes and you can say dash dash so labels so label. So here you can see that we have multiple labels, right? On Kubernetes one node, you can see there is no environment test equal to something, right? So what I will do is I will gonna create this file. It is created. Now let's see what is happening with the pod. It is in pending state, right? Let's wait. Still pending. Let's wait. Still pending. Then I think there is something wrong, right? Let's describe this pod and let's try to understand what is happening. So here you can see that failed scheduling, right? And the message comes from the scheduler. Because in this case we cannot bypass the scheduler, right? So obviously schedule has to follow this taint toleration and this node affinity rules, right? It somehow it has to respect those. So obviously, so what it is saying is I have found out 0 of 3 nodes are available. Although nodes are available, you can see all nodes are ready, but why? In what context it is saying is not available? One node had untolerated taint. Obviously, it has a control plane, so it has skipped those. The rest to it has saying did not match the ports node affinity selector rule, right? This I will explain you later. That preemption is something like you can set some kind of priority to your node port, right? And if that port is coming with the like high priority, right, then maybe scheduler will try to switch off or maybe try to stop some low priority container pod and it will try to spin up your pod uh, like basis of that priority, right, on top of those low priority pods. But here you can see that it is clearly saying that I cannot find any of the node, right? Now let's see what we have put. We have put this environment test, right? And if I see, uh, come on. So as of now, there is no node with this, right? And what is happening is, not node, I want to see the pods. So it is still in pending state, right? So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna set this label to node called cube 8 node 1. Okay, so let's set it label node K8 node 1. What is the label I want to set? I want to set equal to test. If you go to this, the moment you set, it is very fast, right? Now you can see it is running. If I want to see the events now, I can go and I will check the describe test. So here you can say it was failed, right? But now it has found and it is saying that it has scheduled, right? So that is the way, the first way that with the help of the node name we can do it, right? So that is the one way. Let me go back to our notepad file. So that is the node selector, right? Like you can give any of the node that one, right? Now let's do one thing. Let's set this label to node 2 as well. Okay, and let's see now cube get node and the I want to see the pods. So here we have the pods up on running on which node? It is running on Kubernetes node and it is running on Kubernetes master node 1, right? And if you see this, so we have two node coming with the same selector, right? Now let's do one thing. Let's create one more pod. I'm gonna just name it web test 1 and kubectl create hyphen f15. And now let's see. So here you can see that it has found right on Kubernetes 2 as well, right? Let me remove this kubectl get nodes dash dash not this one, the label command I want to see. I'm gonna remove it from the Kubernetes node 2. Okay, we just need to pass the key only, not the value, right? While removing, you just need to put the key and at the end just put the hyphen or maybe the minus symbol, right? And it will unlabeled your node, right? Now let's see what is happening to our pod. It is still running, right? It is still running, guys. You can see I have removed the this one, but if I'm gonna reapply this, right, then probably it will not. So let's do one thing. Let's delete this pod web hyphen test tes1, right? Now let's create one more time, and this time if you see it is running on node 1 because now we have the node selector, right, is set to environment test, right? And if I see the environment test, so we have only one node which has this label environment equal to test, right? So here you can see when we were learning the taint and toleration, right? So there, due to the taint effect, your pod was going away, right? But with the node affinity, when you do node selector, it is not going away, right? So somehow it is kind of thing that which can bother you, right? Like why it is not going away when we removed the label, right? It was still keep on running. Here you can see we have removed and it was still keep on running 42 seconds, 49 seconds, and maybe further, right? But when we rescheduled, obviously that time it has to follow the node selector and it came to node 1, right? So to overcome that kind of issue, right, we have something called node affinity, right? So let me clear my screen and I will show you one file called node affinity. Here also we are scheduling a pod called web affinity, right? Till here now we are familiar what we are doing, right? So this is the new part which we can see. So here we have a property called affinity, and what affinity I am putting? I am putting a node affinity where the node affinity comes from this one, right? Required during scheduling, ignored during execution. Let me explain what it is. Okay, so here it is mentioned, right? Uh, it is saying is that the name itself is explaining, right? Like it will check this affinity only when it is gonna scheduling, right? And it will gonna ignore during execution. Like later on, if you change the label, you remove the label, you add a new label, right? That time maybe it will not do, right? But there is something else called required during scheduling, required during execution. So at the time of execution also it has to be matched that affinity, otherwise it will gonna skip it. Second is the preferred during scheduling and ignored during. So it is kind of the same the effect, right? We have that this one where we discuss the taint and toleration effect, right? Prefer no schedule, no schedule, no ex. So here also we have the prefer during scheduling. Like at the time of scheduling, it will gonna prefer that particular node, and then during lifetime, maybe it can be ignored. So similarly, what we are doing is here we are putting this first affinity like required during at the time of schedule you need to check, right? What you need to check? You need to check the node selector terms and you need to match the expression. One of the expression is equal, either equal to environment equal to value equal to cloud operator in, right? Like key is value, and whatever the value, any value from this list, right, you can give it. So let's do one thing. I will add one more value and then we'll see, right? First, let me create it. Obviously, it will not gonna create it because there is no node called which have the environment equal to cloud, right? So similarly, if we see pods -o wide, it says that it is pending. That was expected, right? We have seen in the case of test. So same thing, it will say that if you describe as well, describe pod web hyphen affinity. So it is saying the same thing, right? Default scheduler, 3 nodes available, but one has a untolerated taint, obviously, and two, it did not match the pod affinity. And again, the same message preemption, right? So now if we see a cloud, right here, we are looking for the cloud. We don't have anything, right? Now let's see kubectl get, no, I want to set a label, right? Kubectl label node K8 node 2, okay? And what label I need to set? I need to set environment equal to, let's say, Azure. Now will that work? No, because still it is not matching, right? But what I will do is, because here if you see a statement like the definition file, it is saying that one of the values it should be this one, right? But here I'm saying I have the Azure, I don't have the cloud, right? So let's see if we can just add it this pod, and if you see somewhere the affinity values is this one. So what I will do is I will put one more value here, something called Azure, and let's save it. Same thing, it will not gonna save because this property you cannot change, but it will be saving your stuff in something called this file, right? So it is saying no valid changes were saved. So what I will do is I will say kubectl replace dash dash force hyphen f, and I'm just gonna pass this file. It is deleted and replaced. So now if you see -o wide, you can see your web affinity pod is running. Whereas if you see, you are saying values equal to, but this file is not applied now. Now what we have done is we have applied this file. If you cat this file, so you can see what we are doing is we are saying either of the value you found, right? Now you can see selector is cloud, no resource found, no, that's not it, Azure, okay. We don't have cloud, right? We have the Azure one, right? Now let's do one thing, let's change this file, okay? I am saying if the value you found AWS, then only you went to schedule, right? Now let's create kubectl create 16 and web affinity already, okay, because we haven't changed the name of the pod. So I am just gonna save to web AWS, and now let's quickly create. It is created now, but it will never gonna scheduled. Why? Because we don't have any node which has a label called AWS, right? So now what I will do is I will quickly set AWS and let's see what is happening. Okay, it is saying environment has a already value is Azure. Do you want to overwrite it? Right? So that is you need to check, right? Or what you need to do is, because you need to give a different value, right? So what I will do is I will just delete this pod because you cannot set two values to one key, right? That is the thing. So delete pod web hyphen AWS. It is deleted. Now let's see. And this time I will gonna change the key called cloud. Okay. And now let's create it. And if you get it, again it will gonna in pending state, obviously. And now if I want to set the label to my node called cloud equal to AWS, and now if you see, it is getting created and indeed it is running also. So that's how that you can play with all these affinity rules and everything, right? Let me show you, because there are hell lot of thing. Let me quickly copy this. And if I, where is my browser? If I go to this, so here you can see it is talking about the node affinity, right? So here you can see required during scheduling. You can think that uh, because it has a many more operation and the examples, right? You need to, because everything I cannot explain in video, right? But yeah, this is the taste of this particular topic, node affinity, right? You need to understand all these, right? This is more or I think on the CKS side, where we need to more think about the security, like where you can just control at that granular level for your ports and all these things, right? So that's what. So I will just paste this document link as well in the description video, where you can refer this, right? So that was the thing, how you can control all these, how you can run all these, right? So here you can see we have the two is not running because these are matching with the node selector, and these are matching with the something called node affinity, right? Let me give you one more example where I will gonna explain like how you can combine these two things, right? Because what you can do is, let's say you can set a tolerate, right? You can set a taint on the particular node, like this will be kind of test environment, right? And on the node selector also you will see that okay, this must be the, let's do a quick example here, guys. Okay, what I will gonna do is okay, I will say disk SSD no execute. I will say no schedule. schedule. This is node 1, and quickly set it to node 2. Fine. And if I see the selector environment equal to Azure. Okay. Now you can see we have the tent set is this one. And now I have set the node affinity as well. But I will quickly go with the node selector, right? Because for this we need to write an entire node affinity. You can do, that's not an case. But let's take a two example here. We have this tone taint and toleration, right? I will gonna go inside this, and it is saying the same thing, right? If you have no schedule, and what is the value we have given, disk SSD only, right? So it is fine, and it is the, let's me do one thing, SCLECT node select. So here what I will do is I will just quickly put one more thing here, something called node selector, right? And I'm gonna say environment equal to Azure. That's what we have, right? On Kubernetes 2, right? Fine. Now I will go to the 16 number, and here I am gonna put the toleration. Let's put above. I am just setting the same to environment equal to Azure, and I am gonna copy that stuff to just to save our time. 14. Let's copy till here, okay? And let's go back to the 16 number. Just let me paste and then I will explain you what we are trying to do here. Okay, let's come to this. So now what we have done is we have set something called taint equal to disk equal to SSD something, right? With no schedule effect on which one? Node 1 and node 2. All right. Now what we are doing is, let me change the tolerated. Okay. Now we have created a two file. Let me cat this 14 first. Here what we are saying is, we are saying you need to check two things. You need to check the toleration as well, like wherever the node is coming, and you need to check the node selector. If that particular node is not able to tolerate, right, that thing, right, so it will not gonna schedule, right? So let's try first kubectl create -f and we'll say 14. Okay, it is saying that cannot be handled as a pod because it is spec.node selector. Maybe we have done some typo. So let me see again, go to the inside because it is clearly saying that SL, right? So it is a SEL. Fine. So it is created now and let's see what is happening. What is that we have created with this node select, this one, right? So you can see that it came to node 2. Why? Let me explain you, because it is clearly saying we need to match two things, environment equal to Azure. If I just say the Azure, so it is saying that it is only for the node 2, and node 2 we have tainted as well, right? If you see kubectl describe node K8 node 2 and grep for the word called taint. So here you can see that it has tainted as well, and our pod is able to tolerate that taint. That is the reason it went to node 2 and it was able to schedule, right? Similarly, if I'll go with the 16 number, so 16 number I'm saying, okay, you need to check this, but you need to check this affinity rule as well, right? But let me show you one thing. Kubectl, because this way it will also go to the K node 1, but I want to schedule it on node 1. So we need to change something. On node 1 we have something called environment equal to test. Okay, so let's go to this 16 number and let's change this, or rather just put test as well. Let's see what is happening. Okay, so now what I'm saying is, first you need to tolerate that, because Kubernetes, if I just show you, where is that command? Node 1 is also get tainted, right? And we are able to tolerate that. But one more thing, we have put the affinity where I'm saying that, okay, expression must be environment and value one of these, right? So let's quickly see where it will gonna. It can be scheduled on any of the node now because it is matching the both. So get ports -o wide, and the tolerated went to node 1, right? Because it is matched the test with that particular label, right? And I mentioned that, okay, if test is not there, then probably you can go with the Azure as well, but test is matched, so it went to node 1, right? So that is the way, like you can put the combination for both if you want the toleration plus node selector, right? Because it will give you a kind of more uh, what do you say, the control, right? You can put the taint and toleration, which will keep you pods running, right, until they allowed. If not allowed, they will be kicked out. or you can put the labels plus node selector or the affinity, right? So that's what the main thing is. So let me summarize one more time. So node name is nothing. Node name is a kind of you are forcing your pod to schedule on a node where you are like specifying, right, by bypassing your scheduler. Second thing, we have seen the node scheduler. So node selector. Node selector is nothing, like you are just putting some labels and you are matching that particular node selector in your file, right? In your file, you are saying, okay, I need to check this node selector. If that particular label is found on the node, then only it will gonna schedule. The third thing is node affinity. Node affinity is nothing, it is also the same thing, but it is a kind of little bit advanced and flexible, right? And that is the way only, that the recommended way in the production I have seen, that we are using the node affinity. And if you need to do a combination, so just now we have done this thing, right? So yeah, that's it for the day. I believe it was the part of schedule, and I think we have done. So let's see if what we have discussed, maybe I need to start the storage probably, or I'm not sure if some other topic is left in this, but yeah, I will be discussing that thing in new video. But from today, that's what the control is, how we can gather, right? So yeah, again, if you found this helpful, the content was good, if you liked it, then don't forget to subscribe and share it with other guys, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.